Hello everyone. Before I start my talk, I would like to read a poem with the title of The Art of Coming. I keep running, still running. I don't remember when I started. Only that stopping feels like disappearing. Not towards something, not away from anything. Just forward. Because stillness echoes louder than filler ever could. My body remembers the rhythm, far better than my heart remembers the reason. Every step looks like progress, but the road reveals the end. I run with trophies in my hand, polished, applied, heavy. They shine like a proof, yet feel like chains. They weigh more than Agnes ever did. People say, "You're doing great," but great feels like a room after applause and too quiet, too empty. Just me and the sound of my breathing asking if this is all there is. My head keep asking, am I getting closer or did I simply become skilled at hiding exhaustion behind momentum? Sometimes I wonder if the finish line moved or if I was never meant to arrive at all. Was arrival just a story we tell ourselves so we don't collapse halfway through? Because there are nights when movement loses its magic, when running cannot drown the quiet, and the silence sits beside me like a truth I'm afraid to hear. And I ask myself, if I stop, who am I when I'm no longer becoming? Maybe this eye isn't a failure. Maybe it's a hallway between chapters where the page turns slowly and the sentence hasn't found its language yet. So I keep running, not to escape, not to breathe, not because I'm wrong, not because I'm strong. I run because I'm scared. I'm scared that if I stop, I'll have to admit that becoming hurts more than I expected. And maybe that's the truth no one warns you about. Becoming was never graceful, never certain, never finished. It always like this, out of bed, unfinished, and I'm still running. Sincerely, Gisellma. So, I wrote this poem after scrolling down to my archive and taking pictures of myself. A photo where I was questioning about my future. I usually do that whenever the anxiety gets too loud. Not anxiety because I had failed, but anxiety because I had achieved things. Because that kind of anxiety feels confusing. You're supposed to feel proud, you're supposed to feel certain, but instead, you felt lost. And the same question kept coming back to my head. I've achieved so many things, so why do I still feel like I'm nothing? How do I become something? Will the things I've already achieved actually mean something in the future? This question didn't come from fear of trying. They came from fear of becoming irrelevant. From the fear that if I stop moving, everything I work for might disappear. And then when I realized that maybe this isn't a lack of direction. Maybe this is what happens when you're standing between who you are, who you were, and who you're still becoming. When I tried to figure it out, where that fear came from, I realized it didn't just appear. It came from the life that I had certain. Because growing up, I always believed that my career path was already clear. Not because someone forced it on me, but because it felt like something I had chosen. Something I had built for myself. And if we go back from the beginning, this is me when I was 2 years old, my first time doing casting. And this is me when I was 7 years old, my first career job. And then this is me when I was 10 years old, debuted on films. And this is me when I was 17 years old. My first big role on screen where everybody knew me. So you can see how from very young age my life was surrounded by entertainment industry. Fortunately, my parents never forced it or treated it as my whole life. They never told me this is who you have to be. No, they never pushed me to become something. They simply allowed me to do the things that I love. And maybe that's why, even as a kid, performing was never pressure for me. It was of the way of being myself, my way of feeling myself, my way of existing without needing to explain who I was becoming. But as time passed, the love of performing started to feel far away. Maybe because I never really had time to fully live the things that I love, like the camera, the stage, because the camera was never a camera to me. When I stood in front of it, I could feel the emotion. I didn't know how to name it anywhere else. The tensions before cue, the silence right before the action. And somehow, in that moment, I felt present. The stage felt the same way too. Standing here, under the lights, I wasn't escaping from the reality. I was processing it. Because for me, performing felt like healing, like running away from something, like running from everything I couldn't explain in my real life. On stage, I could enter a whole new life. I could be anyone, feel anything, say things I didn't know how to say as myself. And maybe that's why letting go, like the camera and stage, felt like letting go the version that knew me how to feel deeply, even when I didn't know who I was becoming. To be honest, the main reason that I started drifting away from the camera isn't because I stopped loving the arts. I always loved the arts. It was because I was living two lives at the same time. On one side, there was the world with films and performance, the camera, the stage, stories. But on the other side, there was education. For me, education was never just about grades or memorizing books. It was my way for building protection of myself, a shield, a foundation, a place where to think, how to question, how to understand the world from completely different angle. That's why from elementary school all the way to college, I choose to stay in regular school, not homeschooling. School with fixed schedules, rules, deadlines, like exams, and the life of the normal student. And of course, that choice came with consequences. I didn't have the same freedom as my friends out there who would take long-term shooting projects without worrying about classes or exam. Every day I was juggling with this film set and classrooms. And when you stand in that space for too long, you start questioning yourself. Was I making the right choice by holding on to things that I love? What do I actually want? I love the entertainment world, but also I didn't want to lose the life of ordinary teenage experience. And that's where the trap begins. Because my friend from formal education were already collecting achievement, milestones, recognitions, while I felt like I was just learning, just growing, just trying to keep up. And on the other side, my friends from the entertainment shooting world, their portfolios were expanding, their experience getting deeper, their careers are moving faster. And there I was, standing in the middle. Not ahead, not behind, just in between. But I never stopped, because I truly believed in my 20s would be the moment where everything could make sense. As people said, in your 20s, you live extreme. So I prepared. I came with an invisible checklist, thinking one day that I would wake up knowing who I was, who I wanted, and where I was going. But like we say back home, teori emang udah di berpraktek. Because look at me now. I'm 20 and I don't know nothing at all. I didn't say this out loud out there because from the outside, my life looked fine. Actually, it looks so good. So I wonder, is it something wrong with me or is something wrong about the way we talk about growing up? Is this it? Am I enough? Why do I still like I'm behind? In our trainees, we are taught that we live in binaries. When we are succeed, we feel like we're something. When we are fail, we immediately feel like nothing. There is no room for in between. So I tried harder, work harder, for myself louder. And every time I felt given once, I'll be forgetting about the progress that I had already made. As if failure erased growth, as if failures made I disappear. I thought that failing meant I was moving backwards. But I was wrong. Failure is a progress. Just inform you don't know how to celebrate it yet. Failure is a proof of nothingness. Failure is a proof that you are tried while becoming. And maybe that's why the question doesn't stop at, am I enough? Because when you stop doubting yourself, you stop questioning about your choices. And that's where another silence battle begins, where another trap begins. The battle between, oh, I want to do something, but I'm scared. Or, if I don't do this, I will regret it someday. So many dimes dreams die there. Not because people are capable, but because they're afraid of choosing wrong. But do you guys know that mistakes can be repaired? There cannot. One teaches how to move forward, and the one teach you how to feel like you feel stuck. But growth doesn't came from certainty. Growth came from movement. That's why I learned this. Do it scared. Fear doesn't mean stop. Fear often means this matter. We are taught that not knowing is a weakness. But in reality, knowing that you don't know yet is awareness. Knowing nothing means something. It means that you are listening. It means that you are questioning. It means that you are leaving space to grow. Not having all the answer doesn't make you lost. It makes you honest. I believe that everyone is a star on their own life. If you take a look closer, every star have their own flaws. Not always perfect, not always bright, sometimes flickering, sometimes we doubting if it's still visible at all. On their own, star looks small, disconnected, easy to overlook. And that's the part that we rarely talk about. But because the constellation doesn't appear instantly, they take time. Each star has to burn, exist, and wait. And here's the truth. Most of the time, alignment doesn't feel like progress. It feels like you're standing still, you're not going anywhere. It feels like you're falling behind. But that slow, quiet, uncomfortable phase, the phase when you doubt yourself the most, is the phase when you are alignment is actually happening. Because when you aim for something bigger, or even you simply dare to put yourself out there, self-doubt always showed up. In fact, the closer you get what you want, the more you're questioning yourself, your ability, your worth, your readiness. But those feel doesn't mean you're incapable. They mean you step out of your comfort zone. They mean you're no longer playing small. They mean you're actually moving. Darkness, in this sense, is an emptiness, is rearrangement. And rearranging is uncountable because things are moving, because something is changing. So maybe this is an identity crisis, maybe is a transition. Maybe the question was never, how do I become something? Maybe the real question is, can I allow myself to stay in between long enough to become? Because becoming something doesn't always look like success. Sometimes it's look like pausing. It's look like knowing nothing at all. It's look like trusting the process even when you can see the contradictions yet. And in fact, that you are questioning, the fact that you are reflecting means you care. And maybe it's okay to be something and still feel unsure. Maybe it's okay to feel nothing and still be worthy. Maybe the most honest place to be is not something or nothing. Maybe somewhere in between. Because stars don't choose where they align. They don't rush the sky. They just keep burning. So if you are here, feeling lost or behind, you're not failing. You're becoming. Whether you are something, you are nothing, or somewhere in between, you're not missing anything. I'm Gisellma Firmansyah. Thank you very much.